What's going on, people? Welcome back to Palace Focus. I'm sorry about the delay. It wasn't my fault. It normally is, but it genuinely wasn't my fault. Brought in Nick as a last-minute sub. Hopefully, has a Benteke performance to replace T. I don't know where T is. Nick. He said he was going to be here, but he didn't turn up. So, you're always on the show. So I thought, you know what? Let me message Nick and see what he's doing. Yeah. You just said, jump on for a bit. Welcome back to Palace Focus. Before we actually get into the show, quick shout out to our sponsors, manscaped.com. Go over to Manscaped and use the code BOTN to get 20% off plus free shipping. So, Nick, I know you talked about the game already on a review show and a match report podcast. And you're going to talk about it again, but maybe I can bring you into a different perspective for the game. First of all, thanks to everyone who has jumped on. It's not my fault for being late. Sorry again. Zach, how are you doing? CJ, Seek. No, we're going to be talking about transfers later on in the show. Matt as well. Anton said probably in the queue for tickets. I'm lucky I don't buy the tickets. Someone else buys the tickets for me, so I'm thankful that I didn't have to be in the queue for that. But
you've got your own band for that, haven't you, DR?
Exactly. Well, no, exactly. You as well. I don't know. You can use them as well. But thankfully, I got my tickets sorted. What about you, Nick? Is everything good?
Yeah, I got tickets. Block F. Although I've been moaned out on Twitter because I'm not in my season ticket place. But where they've got the Arthur, half the Arthur's taken up with Everton fans who aren't going to be able to get there because the first train from Liverpool gets in at 1 o'clock.
Time. Exactly.
They'll be leaving at 4 a.m. on the coaches. But fair play. I mean, Frank Lampard's your manager. Are you going to want to travel all the way to London to watch him?
Based on yesterday,
so that's why
what happened against Tottenham. I'm not too sure many will be travelling.
Well, that's why they left it open, because they couldn't work out how to only have some of the Arthur need to move their seats who are season ticket holders, and then allow the rest to stay in their same place. It's too techie for them, so they just said free for all. And to be honest, I've sat in Block F every round we've been at home. It's my lucky seat. So
yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, it'll be so typical of Palace. Of we're talking about Everton losing 5-0, and we're talking about them having to leave at 4 a.m. for Everton to go and beat us, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But Nick, let's get on to the show straight away. And let's talk about Wolves. I didn't actually have a chance to talk about Wolves and give my reaction to the game because of how busy we were on the day. Of course, you came with me to the game as well. But one of the best performances I've seen so far this season, and you might be saying, when you're looking at Man City, we beat Man City away from home 2-0. You're looking at Tottenham at home, we beat them as well comfortably. But for me, this game was something special. This game was a game where we're talking about a side that doesn't concede that many goals and also doesn't score that many goals, in all fairness. But 11 versus 11 in 90 minutes time, for a very long time, for the first time, if you're excluding Hartlepool, I saw a Palace side out there that was consistent. And that word gets overused on the show. But for the 90 minutes, and you can talk about the second half, but not being as good as the first half. But even just defensively in the second half, in the first half, we were great. Passing the ball, going forward, talk about Schlupp, just everything was clicking. But, overall, I was very, very pleased with this. And I agreed with what Vieira said. The 90 minutes, the performance in 90 minutes, regardless of how we weren't even bad attacking the second half, but we weren't as good as we were in the first half. I just liked it. That was a full, proper performance that you need from us and that we needed in a long time, considering how many last-minute goals that we concede and considering that we always lose focus during the games.
Yeah, I mean, we did sit back a bit in the second half anyway. But that first half, Wolves didn't get into our half until about 10 minutes in. That's when Glades had his first touch, I think, on 10 minutes. But everybody did the right thing. Like you said, everything clicked. It's like the project, finally, we saw what Vieira is trying to achieve. And if that's what he's doing, then when we add more players in the summer, it's going to be something special. But we need to keep that consistency.
Exactly. And we're talking about more players in the summer, but in this game, we were talking about the lineups. Nick, you was with me. I was not a happy man with Jeffrey Schlupp starting. I did not want him to start.
No, you was moaning all the way up there, man. As soon as you found out Schlupp was starting, you started driving faster. Because you're aggravated.
and then we had Mateta on the lineup. Of course, Vicente and Tyreek returned as well. But of course, there's no point talking about Tyreek and Vicente for now. Let's talk about the two players that were. It wasn't only me. It was only me, and there are other people as well. But let's talk about Jeffrey Schlupp first and foremost. So I ended up giving him a massive. I always give him a mistake in the show, in honesty, because I personally don't feel like he's a midfielder in terms of what he can offer when he's playing for us. And so far in midfield, I have not seen Jeffrey Schlupp being effective. Of course, this game things change, but for me, Nick, I don't know about you. Nick, go on.
What did you give him in the player ratings?
I ended up giving him an 8. And this is what I'm going to get onto. I ended up giving Jeffrey Schlupp an 8 whilst playing in midfield, which is crazy in itself because I never thought that would be the case. But, hear me out. This is how I see it. Jeffrey Schlupp playing in midfield like that, forget about me. No one has a problem with that because you can see it when he's with the ball, when he's running with the ball, when he's being effective. And, he's actually doing something to Paul. He's a great midfielder, and you saw it. He helped out Wilfried Zaha. He helped just our whole attack going forward because he was another threat. But my issue until this game was that he just doesn't run with the ball. But in this game, he ran with the ball. He was all over the place. I was very impressed with his performance. What did you make of it? Nick, I think Nick's just frozen. Oh, wait. Can you hear me, Nick?
No, I'm back. I'm back
now.
now
You're back. Did you hear what I said?
I just heard you say you gave him 8 out of 10 and you were really surprised that he did so well. And that was kind of the gist of it. When you compare with how he's played there in the past and looked a little bit lazy.
Yeah, so what did you make of his performance? What do you think it was in this game that made it click? Because I think tactically, as I said at the start of the show, I think tactically we were spot on as well. You have to give credit to Vieira and the players for both of that. Do you think it was just how we set up? Do you think what was it that we saw Jeffrey Schlupp be this effective? 8 out of 10. I've never given him 8 out of 10. Forget about midfield.
I can't put my finger on why it would be so different. I mean, admittedly Wolves weren't their best. I was very surprised at how poor they were. I thought they'd be a lot better. But it felt like he was part of the team, Jeffrey Schlupp. He wasn't lost wandering in midfield, wondering what to do, which is what we've seen of him over the last 3 years. Even under previous manager, he used to get lost in games, but he was there all the time. And it was almost as if somebody had put their arm around him before the game and said, look, run at these players, Jeff. You can actually do it. Show us what you can do. And he did. I mean, that run into the penalty area, they got the penalty. That wasn't the only run that he did, was it?
That's what he does best, though. How many times do you see him doing that? And that's my issue. When he doesn't do that, he looks lost out there because his game is not really to be, a midfielder that can, pass the ball, control. Like, he is a guy that we talk about Jeffrey Schlupp. He's a fast player on the ball. He's he can get the ball and run with the ball. T, what's going on, man? Where have you been? You left me out here. What happened?
The internet at the school went down. So I haven't even been able to get on my phone to even tell you, hey, what's going on. So yeah, my apologies on that. If I lose you all, that's probably why.
No, it's cool. I brought on Nick anyways. Nick, he's a legend. He's always with us. I mean, Nick,
Nick's got all the expert information and insight, so we all good with Nick.
Exactly. This is Nick's show. We're just co-hosts of Nick's show. He's the mastermind.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are you doing detentions then, T?
Huh?
You're looking after all the detentions today.
Oh no, I'm not that guy. That is not me.
T, we just talking about
T, I want to ask you because I've got to get off in a minute. My daughter's got netball training, so I've got to go take her off to Bromley College. But T, have you booked your tickets for the semi-final yet? Your plane tickets?
Jeez, relax, Nick. Relax.
That's actually going to be something I was going to actually come over here and talk about. Try to see what I need to do. Is like the ticket to the game. Like if that, how would I even do that? Do I really have a chance of going to this game? Like if I was to try and do, like, really, I don't know, but we'll see, man.
We'll see when we get there. Exactly. We'll see when we get there. Yeah. So I started off the conversation, T, just talking about our general performance for the 90 minutes. I liked it. I liked the grit that we had to do in the second half. I liked the football that we played in the first half with attacking football. And now we moved on to Jeffrey Schlupp conversation. And for you, like you can't deny he had one of the best players out on the pitch. One of the best. I'm not saying he was the best. One of the best players out on the pitch. But what do you think it was? For me, I'm just gonna say it again. Jeffrey Schlupp has a role in midfield if he does this more often, and that's a big if because I saw it in the second half against Norwich. I saw it in this game, but you can't do it 1 in 3-4 games. But when he does do it, you can understand why Vieira is selecting him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dilemma. I'm like, why did he do it more often? What is it? What did you see from him?
I honestly think it's what you just said. He has a role. I went back and actually watched Jeffrey Schlupp in midfield and in 2 other games. Went back and watched a little bit of film on him, and he didn't play with the same purpose that he did against Wolves. You know, like it seemed like he had clear and present direction on what he's supposed to be doing out there. Getting forward, getting into the box, kind of getting into the mix, the underlap between Wilf and the striker. And it seemed like more than anything else, he had a clear understanding of what he had to do compared to other games where he started in midfield and he just looked lost at times almost. And it didn't seem like he did help out with defending, but it didn't seem like he spent as much time worrying about the defensive side too. So I don't know. I don't know if it was that, but
do you think he had different instructions from Patrick Vieira then?
I think he may have had some different instructions. I think particularly his instruction to get forward the way he did, or really try to get forward. I don't remember him I remember him letting Gallagher do most of the forward work. Getting forward work. I don't remember him doing as much as he did in this particular game.
Yeah, we've got Patrick. He's also joined us as well. Patrick, how you doing?
Pretty good. Can you guys hear me? I'm at work right now.
No, you're good.
Yeah, we can hear you. I love your commitment, Patrick. 1 week you're at a date, 1 week you're at work. You're just, no matter what's happening, you're always here with us. I won't keep you for too long. What did you think of the performance on the weekend? We're just talking about Jeffrey Schlupp in particular now.
It's the second best one of the season, next to the first game against Wolves. I think with Jeffrey Schlupp in this game, what made it interesting for me. Of course, I'm just watching it from the TV, but it looked like he spent a lot of time deeper, and they just had really good communication. When he'd go forward, when he'd go back, when he'd go forward, when he'd go back. I just think going forward, like you said, he has a role to play in the squad. If you're playing a team where we're going to have the ball, start him. Or if you're going to play him on the wing. If you're playing a team that is going to have the ball like Manchester City, then maybe that's not the right midfielder to go to in the beginning. And now that doesn't mean he can't start. He just wouldn't be starting in the midfield 3. Of course, by the way the wingers are playing, he wouldn't be starting, but you get the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree what Lewis said as well, because Will came out after the game and he actually said it that Jeffrey wasn't key to this game because by him running with the ball, we can talk about that penalty. We're going to talk about that goal a bit later on. Actually, let's talk about it now. With him running we talk about the second goal. So by him running with the ball, yes, he won that penalty, but I saw something that helped. I saw the bigger picture, and that bigger picture was Zaha. Because we're talking about Wilf. I think Wilf was probably up there for man of the match because I thought he had like a 9 out of 10 type of performance, both defensively. I know we can talk about his attacking it, but both defensively, putting that work in, tracking back defensively, and running with the ball. Because we have this debate here. We talk about whether Zaha should be a striker, whether he should play out wide. But he played out wide in this game, and he was still effective as like the old Zaha that we've seen. And I think the reason for that is Jeffrey running with the ball. Teams can't just focus on Zaha because you got another ball carrier that's fast on the ball. And I thought that Jeffrey's game actually helped Wilf achieve that 9 out of 10 type of performance. And both of them complement each other so well. So for me, it's a case of doing it more often than not.
How many ball players have we got now? If you look at Saturday, we had Elise who was running with the ball. You had Schlupp running with the ball, scaring the willies out of Wolves. You had Gallagher who could run with the ball. You had Gay coming out of defence running with the ball. You had Mitchell running with the ball. You had Klein on the other side running with the ball. How long since we've had this embarrassment of riches of players who could go forward with intent and be able to lay it off? Even Mateta, who's the clumsiest looking player I've ever seen, but somehow manages to get through people, running with the ball. We are
So-
so blessed at Palace at the moment. How long have we been crying out for this other than give it to Will or give it to AJ or give it to Balassi? We've got 4 or 5 people who can scare the willies out of the opposition. Isn't it marvellous?
Mhm.
And Nick, I know you have to go. So any last things that you want to say, or you want to end on like a mic drop like that?
It was a complete performance. Let's hope we see more of it against City on Monday night. That'll be the big test. But the project is coming together. As you said, the chicken's in the oven. I think the alarm's going to ping quite soon for us ready to take it out.
100%. The process is still cooking. Let it cook. We're reaching there. It's been in the oven for a long time now. But thank you, Nick, for joining us. Always a legend.
You're welcome.
And catch up with you
Pay
soon.
me later, mate, for stepping in. Tea, oh.
All right. See you later, Nick.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
That was Nick. I'm going to bring on AJ as well. AJ, what's going on?
You muted, AJ.
Yeah, you're on mute. You're having a howler. You're talking to us all right now.
I don't usually come on during the week. Sorry. First of all, I owe Jeffrey Schlupp an apology, man. The apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect because I've been not having him at all. Even a couple of weeks ago, I was writing him off. But you know what? Last couple of games, he stepped up. He did what he needed to do, and I trust my manager. So, listen. My hands up, man. You know what? He's turned it on for the past couple of games. I can't really fault him, man. It's going well, man. I'm in a happy place, man. I'm a very happy Palace fan right now, man.
I'm very happy as well, but I can't lie. I don't know if I can agree with you. Like, this game, he was perfect, but Burnley game, he scored that goal 100%. I understand it. But then again, after that goal, we didn't see much involvement from him. You understand? So in this game, even though
it's the work rate, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's why I want him to do what he done against Wolves. That's what I want him to do. Look, getting goals will be absolutely amazing. Winning penalties will be great, as he done in this game. He didn't score a goal, but I was more happy about his performance against Wolves than the game against Burnley when he did score that goal in a weird way. Because he actually contributed massively going forward in a way that we could have scored 3 or 4 goals rather than score that one goal that he won with a penalty. And that was due to Jeffrey Schlupp. So, in a way, this game was a start for me, but it's about what he does next. And I don't know if he's going to do that against City, but hopefully he does. And we'll see. But I don't want to make this a Jeffrey Schlupp show. Let's talk about another player that Nick actually mentioned, and just Jan-Philippe Mateta. Against Stoke, he was arguably one of the... I just didn't understand it. He had jelly feet. Like, every time the ball went to him, he just lost the ball. He just seemed like he wasn't on his game. And then he has games such as against Wolves, and you're thinking everything's working. His first touch, he scored a goal. Even his link-up play, like everything was working for. So for you guys, just let's talk about Mateta. I think personally he's our best presser off the ball, which is key to Vieira's side. But one area that can potentially improve on is his fitness, so he can do that for 90 minutes. But apart from that, what did you guys think about Jan-Philippe's performance in the Stoke game compared to this game? What was it that changed? Did he just have a bad game and in this game he just clicked?
He had a bad game because everybody had a bad game against Stoke. This was a completely different game. The thing that people keep forgetting about JP, what's he played? 12, 15, 16 Premier League games? I mean, that's just it. You know, it's getting used to the league. It takes him longer. He's not the fastest. He's definitely the hardest working striker we have. And that's why he's going to continue to play. It's going to be ugly and we want him to play ugly because if he's ugly, he's much more effective. If that makes any sense.
I mean, the one thing when you watch him, the one thing you don't have to question is how hard he's working for the team.
He's Jordan Ayew that puts the ball in the net.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot because we haven't really had that from a striker in recent history. You know, in our recent past. You know, thinking about the pure just work rate, not even to Patrick's point about him scoring goals, but just the fact you got somebody up top that's just working for the team and doing really good things.
And don't get me wrong, he's not the best at holding up the ball. He's not the best at linking play.
Well, he wasn't bad against Wolves though. That's what I'm
saying. He wasn't bad.
But that's the thing that too. But that's the thing I'm confused about because normally with strikers you'll say they had a bad day in the office because in front of goal they couldn't score goals. But with Jan-Philippe, we're talking about him having a good day in the office because of his first touch. Surely your first touch just doesn't go and come back like your finishing ability does. Like that's why it's a bit weird. Maybe as Patrick said, it's a very good point. He needs to have more consistent Premier League minutes. He's only just getting started right now, and it's part of the progress for him to develop into a Premier League player. That's a very good point. It could be that, but I was very impressed with his performance. Very impressed. Brilliant goal as well. And that's what I like about him. And that's what separates, for me personally, an average striker to a good striker. His instincts. For that goal, he could have easily left that ball. When that ball ended up there, he could have easily said, oh, the play is done. The goalkeeper is going to get the ball. But he continued. And that's what's very good about him.
And the one thing against Wolves, they have a very good back three. It's statistically one of the best, if not the best in the Premier League. And you're not just going to – and it's one striker up there. So it's not like you're going to be able to do that all. I mean, that's to me, that was the most impressive part of the performance. Forget the goal, just all he had them three running and all, and he's not the fastest guy. He turned them on the shoulder all day.
Well, the thing you got to realize is
I'm going to be. No, sorry, T. Go and finish what you said.
I was going to say we don't have a striker that would do what he did in that sequence. When he from the moment he took that header to space, turned and ran all the way to the box to get back into the play.
That is a proper striking got like
work for the cross, get the loose ball, put it in. We don't have a striker that would have done that. Benteke would have still been on the half line, if not at the top of the box by the time all that was going down. And that's part of what makes him so good for us and is the reason why you're seeing him playing right now is because he does things like that, you know. But go ahead, AJ.
I think I'm going to be a bit controversial in the Mateta thing. He's clumsy and he's lanky, but it works. Remember Akinbaye? Imagine Akinbaye with height. It's like he just gets himself about, but it just works for him, if that makes sense. It's really weird with Mateta. It's like he's clumsy. He looks like he's about to fall off the ball, but I think the fact that he's got the work rate kind of favors him. Like it's a hard one with him because from every time I watch him on the ball, I just think to myself, I don't think he's going to do something, but then out of nowhere, he'll just catch the ball in the air and then he'll flick the ball over somebody. He's a lanky Akinbaye.
He's a maverick, whatever you want to call it. You know the cliche terms. He's like a maverick. Like he just I don't know. He has the moments. Exactly. His work rate is great as well.
You know, like when you used to play Sunday League football, you'd have that guy in your team that you just stick up front because he was the tallest guy. Like, you used to fall over the ball, but he used to just work for him. He used to bang 10 goals a season.
It works, exactly.
It just works for me. It's so weird because I'll be honest, when we got him at the time, I had never heard of this guy in my life. I was like, who? I had to go on YouTube, Google, not LinkedIn, Wikipedia.
Where's it work before?
I had to go on Wikipedia and Google this guy's stats, man. I was like, who is this guy? Like, I have no fucking clue. All I knew was, oh, he kicked corner flags. Okay, cool, whatever. Like, so he's not like an established world-class striker, but you know what? He is what you call a typical Palace player. He's just clumsy. You don't know what he's going to do. Remember like when we got Balassi, and Balassi was just very unpredictable and very erratic. It was like that kind of vibe I get with him. But the thing is, the Palace fans will always love him because he works hard and he'll put the work in. And that's all we ask from our players. We don't need them to always be the next Thierry Henry or the next techie, this guy. He just works hard and he just keeps running and working his ass off and leaping and putting himself in them situations. We can't ask for more from that. I know everyone wants Edouard and some people want Benteke, but you know what? If it's working for Vieira's system and he's getting the goals here, there, and everywhere, then I ain't gonna complain.
I agree.
Well, I'm gonna go on to the Edouard bit because there's a comment about that, but there's also a comment from Josh saying that I'm seeing reports that John Tex is getting ready to back Vieira in the summer, and there's also reports about Josh Harris wanting Chelsea, wanted to buy Chelsea. That's a bit odd. So we're gonna be talking about that later on in the show.
He's gonna have to divest if he wants to do that.
Exactly, so that'll be interesting. And also is raw at the club so far. Louis says, I hope we see Eddie against City. See, I told you, there's going to be an Edouard comment. I made him Edouard comments as well when he was being playing good. But for you guys, realistically, is Zaha, Elise, Mateta the best front three that we've got?
I've been calling for it for weeks. I'm sorry. I go with form. I don't go with the name. I go with form. And this is where my bias to Vieira will go. I'll go with what the manager wants. At the end of the day, if the manager wants that and we're getting results, I don't care. And I personally, I know I went against a couple of the other guys in the group recently, but I want Wilf on the left and Elise on the right. And whoever the striker is, I think those wingers and our creative midfielders are talented enough to create those opportunities for whoever the striker is up front anyway.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Mateta drops off form or stops putting in the work in, then I'm happy for Edouard to then be slotted in or Benteke to be slotted in. I don't care who it is up front, bro. I've had to see man like Calvin Andrew and Freddie Sears and Akinbaye, ironically, I just mentioned as well. Like, do you know about those years?
We got quality there.
It was there, like, we had to put up with that. So now we're getting established ballers up front. I'm all right with it, man. Just if Mateta's in form, let him be in form. As soon as he drops off form, that gives the opportunity. That's basically how Elise got his chance. That's how Klein eventually got his chance. As soon as certain players drop off form or the injuries kick in, next guy comes in. If he steps up and does the job, this is what top quality teams do.
Mm-hmm.
But AJ, T, I know you want to go in. AJ,
No.
Are you going to be saying this if he has like a Stoke-esque game against City?
Yeah, but then let's be honest. Are we? I know the whole hype around we're the only team that seems to be able to beat City at home and all that kind of business, but on Monday, mate, I'm ready to sit in that cold and put up with any result. I don't know what to expect. We're comfortable, man. Let me just get my little cup run on and my trip to Wembley, and I'll be a happy man.
Yeah, I don't think we judge his form off of the next match. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we put too much into that.
I think.
But Diaz is injured though. So I want to see a little bit of something.
And you know what?
So it's going to be Laporte. It'll probably be Laporte and Anke in it. So
yep. Mm-hmm.
I want to see something, man.
To be honest with you, here's what an expectation that I would not be surprised to see. You won't see a starter striker. You'll see us put Zaha in the middle.
Because it worked. It
worked last time. And the whole purpose of that scheme was the same purpose they did against Burnley too. You got two center backs that are bigger, probably not as agile, and you want to have that guy in the middle that can make them really, really work and really scare them. So honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Mateta start, but I wouldn't be surprised if he put Zaha there.
If you put Zaha there, then you put probably Edouard out wide. So it's interesting.
He's not going to do that. You know, put Schlupp there. You know he's not going to do that. Don't even get your hopes up.
Yeah, he might put Schlupp there. He might put Schlupp there because then you have Maka, Kouyaté, Gallagher in the middle. So he could conceivably do that if he sees playing more value in playing Schlupp there rather than Eddie.
Will they play 4-2-3-1? Keep Maka on the bench. Gallagher and Kouyaté are your holding midfielders.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I don't think he'll do it against Man City.
I think he'll keep it pretty similar. Similar to how
he'll give Gallagher the freedom role, that number 10, I reckon, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Because you know what? I think he's probably regretting not doing that against Burnley. Because against Burnley, he did something similar, but he went with a 4-2-3-1. He probably was saying, man, I wish I went with the 4-3-3 that we did against Man City. Maybe we would have had a different outcome.
Yeah, potentially. Look, he's learning on the go, and what we've seen so far, even like the substitutes last week on the Palace Focus, we're talking about subs, and we're talking about some people booing Luka coming on and Riedewald coming on, but you're seeing them improve because in this game, personally, Kouyaté coming off, I thought that was a perfect timing for that. Even Mateta coming off, I thought it was a good timing for that. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but with Mateta, the last thing that I want to say that I actually mentioned before is that the one improvement that I can see from him potentially that he has to do is his fitness. Mm-hmm. He's a very good presser, but when you look at his facial expressions during the game, when he's playing, when you're at the ground, he looks a bit tired when it comes to it. I don't feel like he can do it for 90 minutes. And that's why sometimes maybe his performances can slack when it comes towards the end of the game. So for me, what Mateta needs to do next is maybe improve his fitness. But that might be me looking too much into it. That might be. But that's what I've noticed for a very long time, such as Mateta. And there was someone else that I forgot about as well. I think it was Jeff, to be honest. If he improves his fitness, I feel like if he does it for 9 minutes, then he pushes on to a whole nother level. Because I see it in games where Mateta just gets tired too early. But talking about Wilf, and I want to talk about him, and I did say that we've mentioned here whether Wilf is a striker, whether he's a wide player. He did play out wide, and we talked about Schlupp helping him. But in this game, it wasn't only Schlupp, it was Elise. Now, What a penalty from him as well. I had no worries that he's gonna score it. Did you guys notice anything different in his performance in this game compared to any other game? Because in this game, yes, he worked great defensively, but going forward, he was the Wilf that we've known for a very long time. He's like, whoa, it's like a throwback episode.
I think AFCON's triggered him. I don't know what's happened. And it could be coincidence, of course. I don't know if he's come back and maybe Vieira's pulled him aside. Because remember, the thing about our manager, right? He's been there. Like, he's had the best striker probably in the world next to him, the best player or one of the best players in the world he's played with in the likes of Zidane, Henry. Like, he's been there, he's done it, he's seen it. Also, another reason why he's probably taking the cup a lot more seriously as well. Bergkamp, if you want to chuck him into that equation, all the Arsenal, Juventus, and all them other teams, and France, he's won the World Cup. Like, the man has been there, he's seen it all. He could easily have pulled Wilf aside, put his arm around his shoulder and said, look, AFCON didn't go your way, but I'll tell you what, we're going to put the work in. We're going to do something mad with this team. Just trust the process. Like, obviously, he would have worded it in a much more articulate way than me, naturally, but I reckon he's put his arm around his shoulder since he's come back from AFCON and probably just said to him, raise fire. I just think he's just more determined. His game is just a lot more perfected. It's not just... I remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a couple of months ago, even before AFCON, that I was getting frustrated with because he was bringing the ball, he was dragging it to the side, he was doing a bag of tricks, and then the ball weren't going nowhere. But now I'm finding that he's getting the ball, he's taking it to the wing, he's cutting in, he's taking shots, he's challenging the goalkeeper, he's making those right back shake. I'm almost getting a bit nostalgic about Wilf right now. That is why I think he's definitely a lot more effective on that wing, rather than as a striker.
Is that due to Elise on the other side as well? Because I feel like Elise has a big part of this as well. We saw it with his switches over to Wilf. Yeah. Now, what we said when we first signed Elise and when he first played, we were saying when Elise is going to be in the starting lineup, teams can't double team Wilf because you got Elise down on the other side that could cause problems. Now Elise is causing that problems.
I think it's two things. Mitchell's overlapping for one, and number two, Elise is the one getting double, triple teamed. Therefore, all Wilf has to do is run those angles, and in a way, it shortens the pitch. Number two, and Patrick yelled at me for it the other day, but I'm going to say it again. He's not moaning. Vieira, I agree with what you were saying about Vieira, but I think Vieira did it a little bit less hand on shoulder and more like finger to face. Hey, play. Enough of this. You got it in you. Get back to what you do best.
You're gonna make Patrick rise from the grave like the Undertaker, you know, Pat. I'll tell you, bro. You're moving dangerous.
He might be
don't criticize Will. That man will come
trolling. And you know he out there trolling somewhere. I don't think it was.
Just look at his play since AFCON. He's not complaining as much. And he's not yelling at his teammates as much. And therefore, we're playing better performance-wise. And he's playing better, and he's gonna have his best year. So
yeah, I don't think it's down to any one thing. I think it's a combination of really good things all coming together.
The team is
it's the quality of the team. You could say, you know, having Elise on the opposite side, the quality of the team is a lot better. You know what I mean? He's a more experienced player. He's working with a tremendous manager that's going to give him a lot of tutelage and understanding of the game that he's never probably had before. You know what I'm saying? Roy Hodgson played football in 1857, so the game was different then. You know, so it's a combination of a lot of really good stuff that's coming together to bring out the best in Wilf. I mean, it's just like AJ said. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's picking his spots so much better. You know what I mean? He knows when to attack. He knows when to hold up or slow down to bring somebody else to bring Tyreek into the play and let him overlap. He knows when to cut in. You know what I mean? It's like, as a basketball reference, his shot selection is superb. He understands where he needs to make his moves and where he needs to pick his spots. You know what I'm saying? So that leads to him not constantly forcing, trying something out, getting fouled, complaining about not getting the call. You know what I'm saying?
So he ain't Russell Westbrook. That's what you're trying to say.
I don't know about all that, mate.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know about all that, mate.
He ain't Russell Westbrook. That's what I'm saying. He ain't Russell Westbrook.
No, wait a minute, AJ. He's taking a shot right now.
I love my NBA, mate. Don't go there, Russ.
He's taking a shot at me right now because he knows I'm a Lakers fan. And
why?
And well, see, here you go. Look, Look, man, I didn't just become a Laker fan, okay? I didn't just become a Laker fan. All right, I've been a Laker fan
Since
for a long time.
LeBron went there, yeah. All right.
All the time. I'm not a LeBron fan, okay? I'm a Laker fan.
Yeah.
Let's I'll leave it at that, okay?
How convenient.
For another show.
All right. We'll say that. That's the Palace the Back in the Nest NBA show next week. Yeah. What you got to consider is we've got more threats from various different positions on the pitch now.
Ever before.
To be fair, Patrick kind of put like the kind of highlighted that. You got Mitchell and Wilf on the left hand side. Sorry, you got Elise on the right hand side. Ward not so much, but I'd say more Klein. You've also got the press and threat of what we've got from the midfield, and even what we've got coming off the bench now. We've actually got a strong squad, and we've got a strong squad of selection. Of all of my years watching and following Palace, we've never had. There's always been Wilf, and then maybe the odd other person. Maybe Kabay a couple years ago.
It's mainly Wilf though.
And
Yeah,
the
it's just Wilf.
It was always Wilf, and then everybody.
There was that
else.
one person. Yeah, there was that.
It's just Wilf and Cole. But now it's like Wilf, Elise, Gallagher, Coyote. This is so.
Can we talk about Mitchell though? Can we talk about?
Oh my days! Like we've got quality everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no longer all right. 3 players on Wilf, and then everyone else is going to fuck it up anyway. Even when Benteke was going through his weird stringent form, we can almost afford that now because we've got constant wing and attacking threats.
Yep.
I mean, Lise, God, when that boy's got the ball, man, Jesus, you just don't know what he's going to do.
£8 million. £8 million. How? That's the biggest robbery that I've seen. And
I've not bought a player's mum
to talk about
on the back of my shirt for years. But boy, Elise might be the closest one to me buying the shirt with the number in the back. Because boy,
he's naturally gifted. It's one of them ones where it's just he's gifted. He's that player. Like he's not just about him.
You can also talk about his tracking back and his work rate too, because it was. And to a point, like he's doing so much tracking back and doing good enough in the defensive phase. It's like, do we need to bring IU on at times?
No,
start IU.
T, I'm gonna cut in there because I remember the biggest myth when we were talking about Elise, whether he should start ahead of IU, and the biggest myth was he doesn't track back like IU.
He can't track back.
First of all, how can you say a guy doesn't track back when you've never seen him track back because he never plays?
And that was your argument. Was that your argument with Stan, or was that your argument with Patrick at the time?
It was Stan.
I think it was Stan.
I don't know who
Stan, where are you?
Stan disappeared.
Where are you?
Exactly. He was getting on to Elise, but he has apologized. Stan has apologized.
Nah,
but he did say, if you bring us to Wembley, then ain't nobody getting mad about that, to be fair. So fair credit where it's due.
What you saying, Patrick?
I said, was Stan the guy that just didn't want to give Elise any credit?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's apologized.
He has apologized.
And he's not here to defend himself. You don't disrespect
as well. He's gonna be back here soon. He's on holiday right now. He's gonna be back here soon.
He's on.
He has actually
man's on the beach.
Himself. But exactly. But Elise, he was leaving guys out there. But defensively, very good once again. But I want to talk about another player, and I want to quickly mention second half as well, and then we can move on from this game. Tyrick Mitchell. I said it in the player ratings as well. If you want to see how much this guy's developed over a short span of time, go watch his first game in his debut, which was against Wolves, I believe, away from home, and go watch this game. And you can see
that was when he got knocked off the ball by Traore, and I was like, oh my God, he's not ready.
Of course, he didn't play Traore in this game, but still, how much he has improved going forward, because, he has improved with his crosses into the box, and defensively, putting in challenges. I think he had like 10 interceptions or 10 challenges. Patrick said it in the player ratings. We can talk about all these players, but Mitchell is growing to be a star. And Southgate was there with Mark Gahey as well. We can talk about all these players all day long, but of course, we haven't got all day, so we can't. But Mitchell, a fantastic performance. But overall, as I'm talking about defense, I want to talk about the second half. Now, some people will say the second half wasn't as good as the first half. And if you're talking about attacking, I 100% agree, because we created chances, but it wasn't as good as first half. But also, if you're being realistic about the situation, the second half was never going to be as good as first half because Wolves were never going to play that bad. But what I liked in the second half, and let me know what you guys think as well, is our defensive efforts. We talk about Wilf going forward, but Wilf defensively, Elise defensively, just collectively as a group, we've been complaining about switching off in games. In the second half, I didn't see that. And when you have to win games, it's not all about attack. You have to defend as well. And that's what I liked in the second half, that we could defend as a team against a side that has got quality players. Don't get me wrong. They didn't cause us that many problems because we knew the job that we done in the full 90. And 100% agree with Vieira. That game was just perfect from the start to the end. And that's positive. That is positive from what I saw in the second half, because against City or so, you might need to do that. And we've done it against Wolves. So hopefully we can keep that up, the defensive efforts.
Well,
go ahead.
Go T.
I was going to say, naturally, in the second half of the game, they weren't going to come out and play the exact same way they did in the first half for fear that we would give up a goal. You know what I'm saying? Easier for us to hopefully see out a game with a 2-goal lead than to try being aggressive, getting a third goal and actually give up a goal and only have a 1-goal lead and have to see out the game. Because then we set ourselves up for the issues that we had earlier in the year where we give up a goal 85th minute plus, and that ties it compared to just seeing the game out 2-0 and that's fine. You know, we needed to win a match like this. We needed to win one like this. It's good for us to see out a win like that, to understand that we know what it's like and we know what to do in order to secure a win in a game where we dominated the first half. Now we just need to see it out. You know what I'm saying? So I think for us overall in the long run, that's a great game. Like the last 2 games actually have been great for us, because we won one by winning ugly against Stoke, and we won one by getting up big in the first half, but then doing what we got to do to see the game out and get a clean sheet.
I think it was partially by design. When we got up 2-0, I think Gallagher hit a goalpost in the second half early. I think he sat him deep, maybe a little deeper than I would have liked to play on the counter on him, because the Wolves have no one other than Jimenez, and it took them 3 years to put him in the game. Other than that, nobody else was a threat. Podence a little bit, or Podence, whatever the guy's name is. Other than that, it's an easy. The team's only scored 24 goals this year, maybe 21, 22.
It's 21 goals coming into that game.
So it was easy just to sit deep a little bit and hit them on the counter, and we really should have put that game to bed earlier.
We could have in the first half. The goalkeeper saved them. We could have had 3 or 4 if you're looking at it like that.
And by the way, Nick Anderson needs to change his name to Brick Wall, because the improvement in that man's game is second to none.
Hey, that was your man of the match, Pat. That was your man of the match, right?
Yes, he was. He would have been, but because of what? But yeah, for me, Anderson, absolutely. You're as strong as your spine, right down the middle.
I think for me, I called out Mitchell as my man of the match for Saturday, for the weekend. And in all fairness, hopefully Gareth Southgate's seen him, Gade, Gallagher. I'm not expecting, but I'm hoping that Gareth Southgate at least puts 3 Palace players in that England squad against Ivory Coast, because it's now at the point where common sense and form needs to kick in, and with Chilwell injured, the left back position, and Shaw out of form, and the whole Man United team all over the place. Common sense has to kick in, man. Like, don't get sucked into that big club bias, man. Do the right thing and play the players that are in form.
Do you think he's ready though? Do you think Ty's ready right now? I think Ty's improved massively, but I think there's a player that 100% it should be in that England squad, and that is Mark Gahey. That's without a doubt. I think he's ready right now. He's played for England youth levels. He's captain them. He's captain Palace right now. If Southgate watched that game and you picked Conor Cody or Kilman over Mark Gahey, then he's a
or
fool.
Tyrone Mings.
Mate, in that one game alone, Gahey starts over Kilman any day of the week. I think the only thing that Kilman's got is height. Like, I remember seeing him at Palace and thinking, oh, he's a bit tall, but other than that, he's not levels above Gahey. Like, and you're right, you said it. He's under 21 captain. Like he's been on form. He's been an ever-present virtually most of the season. He's reliable. He's a leader. Come on, man. Just do the right thing, Gareth. But I don't know. He's got that weird player bias, hasn't he? Like, he has a set of players that he sticks with, isn't it?
Tyrone Mings is the most overrated center back I've seen.
Yeah,
so clumsy.
There's so many Harry Maguires as well.
Honestly, Harry Maguire, like he hasn't proved to be worth the money they spent for him yet. I don't know if he ever will. To be completely honest with you, the thing that Southgate's got to realize is if he doesn't give Mitchell a call up soon, he might end up losing him.
Was he eligible for other countries?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he
Well,
will be.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a worry for them. At this point, it's just with Ty. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I love Ty to bits, and he's improved massively. He might not be ready now, but he might be ready for, I don't know, the next tournament or that next. He's improving. But left back spot, yeah, probably he should be in the squad.
I just don't think. I think he played better. He would play better than Shaw. I think he would be better right now than
he's
Shaw.
better than Shaw in form.
Yeah,
that's what
Man
I'm saying.
United is a money
right
right
now. I say right now. Yeah, right
He's just
now.
a better player than Shaw. Period.
But then Gareth has the problem with Southgate as well, which I find weird because obviously he's got connections to Palace, but and I've seen him at Palace a few times actually. So his common sense has got to kick in. He's got to use his common sense a little bit here and just say, look, I know he's got his low players and stuff like that, but bro, you've got to look at the statistics. Like, come on, man. Like, use your common sense. Like, who is the most informed left backs in the country right now, England wise? With Chilwell out, I just don't see it.
Trent Alexander-Arnold,
right,
Mitchell.
They were Trent's right back, innit? So
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Even if he doesn't start, put him in a goddamn squad, mate.
Sooner rather than later, he should be in the squad. But my man of the match for this game is probably Wilf, because of his efforts just going forward and defensively, and of course he scored a goal as well. I thought he had like a 9 out of 10 type of performance. I honestly don't know why I ain't giving him a 10 out of 10 because I don't know what else he could have really done. But yeah, I thought Wilf had a great game. But the next bit I want to move on to is I want to talk about transfers potentially. And that is, we got one player that we were linked with. And then this evening, another report came out that saying he might not be interested. But Palace, Newcastle, West Ham, and Man United are all interested in Boubacar Kamara on a free deal. The 22-year-old midfielder from Marseille is out of contract in the summer. But reports are suggesting his agent wants around £150,000 a week. Boy, that's a lot of money. There's a proper CDM, loves the challenge. Seemed like he's good on the ball. But T, you reposted it, I think, on your Twitter that he's not interested.
Yeah, that's what the report said. I mean, they were saying that he would rather stay where he is at Marseille because they're fighting for the Champions League than coming to a mid-tier Premier League club. Is what the article said. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I don't know, man. Maybe if this same person is asking for $150,000 a week. And you think to yourself, well, you're 22 years old. What have you done in your career to deserve $150,000 a week?
I don't think he's even in the France setup. To be fair, Boubacar Kamara, he's not even in the France squad.
And that's what I'm saying. So if this guy has the nerve to ask for $150K, maybe he has the nerve to say, "Oh, I don't want to play for Palace. They're only a mid-tier Premier League team, and we almost in the Champions League where I am. I don't want to go to them."
Well,
so he. And that's what I said. And I said on my Twitter, I said, if that's the case, fuck them. We'll find somebody else.
I mean, for me, there's a midfielder at Real Madrid. I'm not talking about that Ceballos link or whatever that can. We're not going to get him, but it's a dream world. That Kaminga.
He just got
Kamavinga.
Yeah, he just got there.
No way. He is too good for Crystal Palace. I'm sorry to say it, but Kamavinga.
Yeah, before he went to Madrid, that was our best chance.
No goddamn way we're getting Kamavinga in a million years.
In that report, there was actually a bit where I think it suggested that Palace have moved on. Palace's main focus is not just central midfielders, it's central defensive midfielders. That's what we're looking at. Do you guys think that is the right thing by the club to do? Consider that Kouyate's age, and then you got Mako, who's getting older as well. Are you guys hopeful that we can get CDM this summer? And do we need a CDM this summer?
Yes.
I think we do. But I would debate who can we get and who is available. Obviously, there might be a name that we've never really heard of, and Vieira Pool is a thing. I'm sorry, it must be.
Yeah,
there's a sleeper over in France.
Because that's how we got Elise. Ironically, Elise. We've been trying to get him for like 2 years.
With him.
We've been linked him for 2 years, and then Vieira makes one phone call and just goes, "Yo, listen, I'm Patrick Vieira." Next thing you know, man's in the door, like signed and everything, like.
Because I've been talking about Elise on
I could have
as well.
Tomorrow, like you never know, but
Billy Gilmore, Chelsea
available.
Is Billy Gilmore isn't a CDM though, is he?
I mean,
he is.
Lampard played him.
He's like a centre mid. He is.
Well, Kamara, he's all right. You know, he's a bit greasy as well. You know, he's willing to do that dirty stuff. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, there's
I mean,
a
I'm
lot of
just
options out there, though. I mean, he's a nice one because he's free. I mean,
what about the teams that go down? Am I just being a little bit flippant here? Like, what about teams that might potentially be going down? Like little bargains there, Championship. I know we've been linked with Brendan Johnson and
Sissoko
Leon Spence and them kind of guys there.
Sissoko from Watford, because they're going down, unfortunately.
No,
No?
I wouldn't
Mercenary.
take. Yeah, I would take
Mercenary.
him.
No, thank you.
Yeah. It's
Just
too
he's a
old.
mercenary.
If we get
We don't
someone,
want
we
that.
need a young player. If not, then just keep Chico Kuyate, honestly, because
Yeah, if we
like he's doing a solid job, and he's probably older than him. But you know, I don't think if we're getting a player, I think we have to get a younger player. I think it's interesting. It's interesting that we're aiming for
Sissoko,
CDMs.
right? Sissoko is the definition of stealing a career. He is the definition of
I
stealing
don't
a
think
career.
it's that bad. I don't think it's
Come
that
on,
bad.
man.
He's had some good moments.
How did he win the
Trust
World
me.
Cup with
I
France?
remember.
What did he do?
No. He had some good moments for France. He had some good moments for France as well. What was it?
Debatable.
Was it the Euros that he had a very good tournament and then he was linked with all them, you know, the big clubs? I think it was the last Euro. Was it 2016? He had very solid performance, and then afterwards he made a move. Yeah, he wasn't. I think you have to give him his respect for certain periods of time. I'm not saying he's been like this player throughout his career, but he has had some moments in his career. But not right now. I wouldn't take him, even though he's scoring goals for Watford.
Mate, the only moment I'm giving Sissoko is that weird little song France #1 thing they did in the stadium after the World Cup when they all won, when they were walking around the stadium. That's all I'm giving him. He's trash.
Other than that,
he's trash, bro.
from those teams that are getting relegated, I don't think there is a CDM that I'd be interested in.
You wouldn't want Billy Gilmore?
But he's going back to
wrong?
Chelsea.
Nah.
Well,
He's
You
going back
can't
to
judge
Chelsea.
him by Norwich, guys.
I wouldn't
No,
even take Gilmore if we lost
I just know
Gallagher,
he'll
to be
be-
honest. I wouldn't even take Gilmore if we lost Gallagher. I'd rather go get the PSG sent the defensive midfielder. Was it Sangare?
Oh,
yeah,
Sangare.
PSG,
Sangare?
Sangare, yep. And then they're looking at the guy from Ajax too.
Or what? Mandiak? No,
Edson Alvarez.
Yeah, I've heard that, you know, but I don't know. I think he can go to a bigger club, respectfully.
I mean, I think both of them could, but I mean, I think the thing is when you're buying
Vieira
for
Paul, innit?
millions,
Vieira Paul.
Oh,
Liverpool.
Vieira Paul.
So Sangare is
We'll have to get on a
French.
t-shirt.
He's French. He played in France. He was at Toulouse before he went to PSV. So the Vieira Pool might be there with him, being that he's from France. There's a kid in France right now that plays for Saint Etienne.
I know who you talk.
That's I think he's 19 or 20. Last name is Gorna.
You're the scout, T.
Hey
Tell us,
man.
innit?
Hey man, his name's Lucas Gorna. He is a monster, about 6'2", central CDM, man. Hey, that's go over to France and pluck him out, Vieira. Go get him. Hey.
Well, funny enough, France have got a financial problem, haven't they? Like, I've been reading this for a couple of years. Apparently, their TV deal completely went left, innit? So apparently, French players are like mad cheap.
Yep, and they let them go for the low.
Plus, you know what I mean? Europa League money, innit? When we win the FA Cup, Europa League money.
Hey, mind that. Not yet. Let's get
Mate,
there,
I'm
man.
already
Let's get there.
planning what kind of excuses I'm going to have for like not turning up to work on Thursday. Trust me. I'm planning that from now.
You're planning from now. Let's just go past Everton, then we talk about savings, then we talk about.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry, man.
It's been working so far.
Yeah, you don't want to put the horse before the cart. I get it.
The final point that I want to talk about is we have to buy these players with the owners that back us, and one of the owners is being linked with Chelsea. Talk about transfers. Josh Harris, apparently he's eyeing a deal with the consortium that's made a bid to take over from Roman Abramovich. And Josh Harris wants in at Chelsea, according to reports from footballlondon.com. So just your initial reactions to that, because I mean that would be a bit strange. It will be improvement, I guess, because he will join a bigger club. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, for me, Josh Harris, I'm a big Sixers fan, and the story out there with him when they did that, you talk about that trust the process phrase, where they would just lose every game possible. He was so horrible. The NBA threatened to take the team until he put money into it. So I have no respect for Josh Harris whatsoever. So if you can find another billionaire, we can find another billionaire that won't spend money to replace him. I'm too biased, so I can't really give a good opinion, but I have no respect for that man whatsoever.
Probably thinks if we lose enough games, we'll get a draft pick or something.
Exactly.
In all fairness, right? I mean, Harris, from what I understand, is I kind of went against him a little bit. But what I'm understanding is he funded the Sam Allardyce transfer window in that January. You know that one where we got like Van Arnholt and Luca and all that?
That's only because he would have lost his investment. That's the only reason.
I believe that, from what I understand, is he'll probably, if he does buy Chelsea, he's going to do a self-sustaining model. So that works to our favor because that means our chances of getting Gallagher obviously elevate quite a lot. But then obviously,
I don't know what the rules are. Sorry,
you can't own two Premier League teams.
I was reading. He has
to pull out.
He has to divest his interest in Crystal Palace.
Yeah, he'd have to pull out, and then what would basically end up happening is Texer and maybe Paris would take back a couple shares. Maybe more of the Palace 10 guy from 2010 guys might get a little bit more involved because a lot of them guys that kind of saved us back in 2010. Apparently, a lot of them sort of got their stuff all bought out.
I don't see them realistic. I don't think any of them got the financial wealth to get involved now.
And the thing is, a lot of them I know the whole Harrison Blitzer thing. It's a holdings company together.
Yes,
from what I understand. So if Harris is out, Blitzer probably is too. Because
that's a change of documents on company's house, man. That takes 10 minutes to change. Like it's not that deep. It's actually quite easy to get amended. You know, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, but I actually read an article. I think it's from the Athletic, and I think they bought another club over in the MLS, and I can't remember who it was, so I'm not going to go into it straight.
They owned a team in Segunda B too.
Yeah, they own lots of clubs, but this report is from the Financial Times, by the way. Josh Harris, the US billionaire and former top executive at Apollo Global Management, is exploring a bid for Chelsea Football Club. He co-owns a portfolio of sports holding, including a minority stake at Crystal Palace. And apparently, so he would look. It says the report adds that any bid from Abramovich's club by Harris would likely require a. So it means that he would likely have to move away from Crystal Palace. And a spokesperson for Harris declined to comment. So interesting. We might have one of our owners leaving as well, talking about transfers.
You might hook us up with Gallagher, lads. Don't worry.
He might be plotting. This is the only way we're going to go get Gallagher if he goes over there and literally owns the club.
Get me? Chuck it. Listen, you don't want the money? Chuck in Lukaku while you're at, man. Everyone's there. Chuck in Hudson Boy or something. Everyone's there. Like, why not?
Chucking everyone, exactly. He's going to go there.
But I understand that no new perspective. Oh, they've got a weird couple stipulations. So it's like you can't join a Super League. You have to make sure Chelsea is efficient and sustaining. So whatever happens, Chelsea aren't living the best life like they were for the past 10, 20 years, you know. Like, no matter, like, even, what was it, that Wish guy that I interviewed? He said, I'm not spending no stupid 400 million, 500 million. Those Chelsea living the best life days are gone. But then, obviously, with the new rules around the loan deals and the implementations of that, they're going to have to start utilizing those youth players anyway. So, Chelsea might fall off a little bit, you know.
Well, it's going to be a fire. Well, whoever takes it over, it's going to be a fire sale there with that new loan rule. They're going to have a fire sale. They're going to be selling people off.
Facts.
They're going to be paying the piper now.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, they must be shitting themselves realizing that they sold Gay, you know. Like, they've got a defensive, they've got a defender issue right now, right? They've got no defenders, and a lot of them are out of contract.
I've seen it. They're already upset about that because only £18 million for Mark Gahey is already a bargain. At least £8 million. We made profit on him if we want to sell him. Eze, I think we make a profit on him if we want to sell him already. Gahey, we make a profit. I think Joaquin, potentially, he can, you know, he's reaching that point because of how good he's on a ball. So all these investments that we've made, we can make a return already, and we're not even finished with the first season. And like,
we're
still
in the
got
black already with them. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a positive, but interesting news coming from Football London about Josh Harris. Let us know what you guys think about that, because it could, you know, who steps in? Does John Textor buy a bit more from the club? Do we get new investors into the club? So it could make things interesting, especially now that we want to build a new main stand as well. That's been going on for God knows how long. I was there in 2017 when they unveiled the plans, and we're in 2022 and still nothing has happened so far.
I have a question about that real quick. I don't, obviously being in America, I'm a little outside of that. Are we being held up by a grocery store chain?
Yeah. So
basically,
now,
the alleged rumor, I was told, and obviously this, you can take this here or there, but I was told Sainsbury's which is the American change, which is like you lot's version of Walmart, basically.
Okay.
Okay.
Apparently, they want like 11 million pounds for like 10 meters of land, allegedly. That's what I was told.
So what's happening right now? I don't know about the finances actually involved in it, but what I know from what I've seen so far is that everything is pretty much sorted. There's that land that's left from Sainsbury's that we need to complete, and I don't know how much I want, but it's over what we are willing to really price out. But I saw something recently. I'm pretty sure not recently, but last year around November-ish, October-ish, where there was potential reports saying that maybe we're edging closer to a deal with Sainsbury's. So fingers crossed that's gonna happen. Actually, I know for a fact. Go to the Athletic and listen to John Texter's podcast with the Athletic, and he said that main stand is going to be built. That's what he said. So he said it's going to be built. So whatever it is that's holding us back, he's going to make sure that he puts in his money and it's going to get built. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But interesting, if one of the owners leave, let's see if that impacts it as well. It would be so typical of Palace to reach that point where it's nearly going to get built and then someone else leaves. But
I wouldn't
we'll
be
see what
surprised.
happens.
Listen, mate, I
Give
sit
us
in the
more.
main stand, so I want my new seats, man. I'm hearing like heated seats and all that crap. You know what's there?
Seats.
I don't sit in the Homesdale like D and them man there, I sit in the main stand, I want my nice new seats.
Is
man.
it AJ wants his memory foam cushions. And,
Yeah, exactly. He wants his
Hey,
popcorn
listen,
delivered
mate,
to
I
his
paid for
seats. Exactly. It might happen soon. The plans to this day, look, I'm happy with it if it does go ahead, because what we saw on the day when I went to the media unveil, it looked great. Honestly, it looked great, and it's going to have a big impact to the club financially and just in general. It looks great when you look at the photos. So hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. But look, we managed to talk about this for an hour, just a Wolves game and transfers and Josh Harris. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That's it from us today. Thank you to T, AJ, Patrick for joining us, and everyone who's watched us so far. If you're watching on replay, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we will be back for the match reaction show on Monday night. That's why we didn't do a City preview, because it's
so far,
too far away. Why would you do a preview
far.
for a game that's like 6 days away? But
So far.
maybe before Monday night. You never know with us. We might post a video before Monday night. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the
Palace, baby.